everyone, this is Sarita and welcome to the Sword Podcast. Today we're going to be talking to my friend Amber about the importance of having a biblical worldview.
Yeah, so I think that having a biblical worldview is just like recognizing, so like whenever like people get baptized, we ask them before, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And they have to say yes. And so accepting Jesus as your Lord is receiving that he's your master and what he says goes. And so that means that if something is said in the Bible, I'm going to trust, not, so Proverbs 3 verses like 5 and 6, they talk about trusting in the Lord and leading not on my own understanding. So whenever I'm accepting a biblical worldview, I'm trusting in God, and I'm choosing not to lean on my understanding, but I'm choosing to lean on his understanding that he is Lord and he knows what's best for me, even when it doesn't align with the way that the rest of the world is going.
So how would you say that, I guess, like, maybe, you know how, like, everyone feels like they had their own truth, or, you know, like, how would you talk to that about, like, someone if they said, well, you know, like, Jesus is true for you, but that's not true for me?
Yeah, I think just continuing to just, you know, be that person's friend, and in conversation just continuing to talk about not necessarily like biblical worldviews, but about who Jesus is. You know, there's an image here that there's like a dog with a bone, and the dog doesn't want to drop that bone because, like, you know, like dogs like bones. But then you come up to that dog with a juicy steak, and almost every time that dog is gonna drop the bone for the juicy steak. And so, like, in that respect, like, sin is like the bone. You know, there's really nothing like good about it. There's no nourishment in that bone. It's just a dry bone. But like the steak is like who Jesus is and everything that he has to offer us. And so I think, you know, whenever someone doesn't receive Jesus as truth, then, you know, I recognize that I can't hold them up to a standard that they haven't accepted, but I continue to try to love them and show them why Jesus also loves them and who he is.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about, so a lot of times, like, especially in the school, I kind of had noticed, like, and with other people, like, as well, that it's like, if you don't love what someone is doing, like, if you don't openly affirm, like, whether maybe someone is living, like, in sexual sin, or maybe they're just doing, like, they're living, like, apart from God, like, that in order to say that, in order to, like, be that person's friend, you have to be okay with what they're doing. Like, how, I mean, because I know, like, you can still love someone and not affirm them. Like, but how would you maybe, like, personally talk to somebody that has said, oh, Andrew, you have to love my life, like, the way that I live, even if it's not, like, for God?
Well, I think Jesus is the perfect balance of that, in that he loved the sinner while hating the sin. You know, like, whenever, so there's an instance in the Bible where these Pharisees were trying to stone this woman who was caught in adultery. And Jesus says, no, let the man who has not sinned cast the first stone. And they all put the stones down because they knew that they had sinned as well. And Jesus was the only one left. And he asks the woman, he says, woman, where are your accusers? And she responds, Lord, there are none. And he says, then neither do I, accuse you. And he tells her, that her sins, that he's forgiven her, and to go and to sin no more. And so he loves her by choosing not to initiate this death penalty that he had the power to do, but then he also tells her to sin no more. And so in that instance, he loved the sinner while hating the sin. And I think when talking to a friend that is not wanting to follow Jesus and walking in disobedience to him, it's just asking God how we can love the sinner while hating the sin.
Okay. Thank you. And let's see. So, how would you so another lie that is in our culture is people think that a lot of times they get down on themselves because they haven't accomplished a lot in life, or they feel like they haven't, something that I kind of struggle with too, not feeling as valuable because maybe the culture doesn't, our culture puts value in a lot of what we do and not who we are.
I think with that question, if you were trying to earn God's love through what you are accomplishing, then you've lost the purpose of God's love. And God, the gift of salvation through Jesus Christ is not obtained through accomplishment or anything that we could ever do, but it's obtained through just believing and leaning on Jesus. It's whenever we sit on a chair, we're just sitting down, we're not making any efforts.
Well, thank you, Amber, for agreeing to be interviewed. And this was my friend Amber, and be sure to check out my other blogs on the sword.